so common for people, and I have been there, to feel this duty to make everybody happy or to make everybody pleased, when in actuality, you want to be able to stand up for yourself. And once you learn a little bit more about etiquette, you'll likely feel more emboldened and have the confidence to do that, because you'll realize, like, that person's expectation of me is not fair. Or, like, you don't need to, you can say, thank you so much for the kind invitation. Fortunately, I'm unable to join. You don't need to provide a lengthy reason for why you're not able to accept an invitation. And so once you become more accustomed, familiar with etiquette, you will hopefully grow in confidence in
Yeah.
being able to assert your boundaries and realizing that clarity is coming. And your boundaries don't need to be the same as someone else's boundaries. So that's something we talk about too.
Hello, welcome, ladies, to the She Roars podcast. I'm your host, Jenifer, and we are here at the NRB Convention here in Nashville, Tennessee, surrounded by Christian media producers, actors, authors, publishers, producers. It is just a beautiful time to be gathering together and really speak about what is happening in the media, especially in the rise of tech and AI, and even new authors that are releasing their books, which I'm so excited to have a special guest here. Can you introduce yourself and what is the mission behind the work you do?
Sure. And thank you so much for that really kind introduction. My name is Alison Cheperdak, and I'm the author of a new book called Was It Something I Said? Everyday Etiquette to Avoid Awkward Moments in Relationships, Work, and Life. And I'm delighted to be here. It's my first NRB. I have a company called Elevate Etiquette where I teach modern manners for life, work, and love. And this is a book that I've been working on for years. And we are so close to the on sale date where everyone can purchase it in whatever format they like, whether it's the hard copy or an audiobook or the Kindle version. And I'm really grateful to be able to have a conversation today.
Awesome. And congratulations on your new book that you're
Thank
about to
you.
launch. I know it's been years, like you mentioned, that you in the works of doing this. And what started your journey into etiquette? Because this is something I actually wanted to explore
Really?
more. In the past year, I was really going through a healing journey and really finding my feminine sense
Mm-hmm.
and really breaking that survivor mindset of just go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. And especially I know friends that I tend to struggle with that and to really slowing down and being mindful and just how we present ourselves, dining, how we are doing tea. So how was your journey? How it started?
Well, I love that you are so interested in these things.
Yeah.
For me, it started when my husband and I were engaged to be married, and I was 22, and I'm the oldest grandchild on one side of the family, and I hadn't had many friends that were married yet. I grew up in the Northeast, and I had all of these wedding etiquette questions, like, does every cousin get a plus one, or how do I address this envelope, or who sits where, who walks down the aisle, in what order? And so I was talking to my mom about it, and she recommended that I get an etiquette book. And so I got the same etiquette book that she had gotten when she had gotten married many years ago. It was then the Amy Vanderbilt Complete Book of Etiquette. And I got that book thinking that I would just turn to the pages that were going to provide the answers that I was looking for. And I ended up reading that book cover to cover in countless books on social emotional intelligence since then. And at the time, I was working as a news reporter and an anchor on television. And then I went to law school and I was practicing law. And all along, I was continuing to learn about etiquette and learn about protocol and learn about these emotional, social intelligence aspects of life. And I went through the process to become certified in teaching British and North American etiquette, not necessarily with an intention of starting a business, but just because it was a personal passion of mine. And I also saw that these ways that we interact, they are so powerful in our personal lives and in our professional lives. And I was working in places like the White House, and I saw what an impact these little things can have, because in the aggregate, they're really not so little. And when I started posting on social media, things really took off with a momentum that felt really blessed and worth leaning into. And before I knew it, had the opportunity to write a book, and I'm really grateful to be able to share it with everyone so soon.
Yes, that's so wonderful how it all started and now it's just blossom and
Thank you.
empowering women to walk in this essence and really focus on learning some etiquette that probably were not thinking before. Like for me, when I started, I actually found you on Instagram and I
Thank you.
followed you and the tips and tricks that you did on just even those mini reels and videos. For me, I was like, wow, these are so practical. And it's just about being mindful about in the moment and being intentional and
Mhm.
especially like hosting people and hosting
Mhm.
gathering people together or how to present yourself with
Yes. Yes, and it's all about respect, and it's all about seeing the dignity in the people that you're with and showing them respect, so it's not about being perfect. It's not about being hard on yourself or being a
Mhm.
people pleaser. It's really about showing respect for yourself and others.
That's so good. And talk about people pleasing because that's another one that we, especially in this area, is really being spoken about or is the afraid to have some
Yes.
fear of saying no because of the fear of the offense. And that's
Mhm.
probably something you speak about in your book.
Absolutely. It
Okay.
is so common for people, and I have been there, to feel this duty to make everybody happy or to make everybody pleased when in actuality, you want to be able to stand up for yourself. And once you learn a little bit more about etiquette, you'll likely feel more emboldened and have the confidence to do that because you'll realize, like, that person's expectation of me is not fair. Or, like, you don't need to, you can say, thank you so much for the kind invitation. Unfortunately, I'm unable to join. You don't need to provide a lengthy reason for why you're not able to accept an invitation. And so once you become more accustomed, familiar with etiquette, you will hopefully grow in confidence in
Yeah.
being able to assert your boundaries and realizing that clarity is coming. And your boundaries don't need to be the same as someone else's boundaries. So that's something we talk about too.
Wonderful to hear because it is a struggle. And I used to be such a people pleaser
Mm-hmm.
as at some point in my life, but I had to go through my inner healing journey to really break that cycle and not be afraid to say no or set some clear, limited like boundaries and also have consequences.
Yes,
It is a work, it's like a muscle. You have to continue to
absolutely.
repeat a
Yes,
repetition.
couldn't agree more.
Yes, in order for someone to feel comfortable. Case. So, what do you suggest or advise a woman that tend to struggle with setting rules within herself, putting herself apart instead of putting others before?
I would say that you're not selfish and that you're not wrong for wanting to have some boundaries. And that I think that there's been a conversation about boundaries and self care that can be a little extreme and maybe not aligned with being generous and being giving and all of these things. But healthy boundaries are such that they allow us to give in a better way. Because if you, like, let's say, if you're overextending yourself and you're saying yes to everything, maybe people are asking you personal questions that you don't want to share. You don't need to answer any question just because it was asked. Like, you can say something like, that's not something that I'm ready to talk about. I'm so happy to see you and I'd love to hear about. And then you can pivot to another topic. So that's an example of a boundary there. But if it's a boundary as it relates to overextending yourself or saying yes to too many things, it's better to say yes to less and be very present than to say yes to too many things and to feel resentful or distracted.
Yes, that's so good because it is removing that pressure off yourself that you don't have to be there for everything. It's like that overcommitment.
Yes. And also
Mhm.
giving yourself grace that things change with various seasons. People have children or they elderly parents or they have demanding seasons at work or they have health problems or they just have a lot going on. And so it's okay if your boundaries today look a little different than what they look like a few months from now, a few years from now, etc.
Yeah, and it's a work in
Yes.
and showing yourself grace through the
Yes. Yes. And showing grace for others too.
That's wonderful. And I know you do some coaching as well,
Hmm.
etiquette coaching. What are some things that you see common among women that you do coach when it comes to?
I often find they don't have a lot of confidence in conversation, especially in meetings or in rooms where they don't know anyone or don't know many people. And oftentimes women are looking for tips to level up in executive presence, or like they are looking to advance in their careers a little bit more, like they want to be the person that's asked to be on a panel, or they are comfortable leading meetings, but they want to take things up to the next level. So we talk about little things you can do to be more confident. Like if you're going to an event like NRB where you're going to be seeing some people you know, or maybe some people that you don't know, we talk about the ways that talking with your hands makes you seem more relatable, more trustworthy, more charismatic, positive body language, how to stand, even knowing like what are groups that are more open to conversation versus those that are not, knowing when to arrive at it or when to arrive at it. Like if you show up within the first 10 or 15 minutes, you're more likely to make new friends and make connections because people haven't settled into their groups yet. So that's something that we talk about. And then I talk a lot about being prepared with topics to talk about. Generally, unless you're at NRB and religion is definitely fair game, generally you want to stay away from money, sex, religion, and politics and health status. But that leaves plenty of room for all kinds of things like hobbies, interests, what you've been reading, watching, listening to, performing arts, sports, travel, food, all of these kinds of things. And it's very healthy to have things to talk about that you enjoy. I help people in that regard. And then often I'll help people with how to answer the questions that they don't want to receive. So oftentimes they can be milestone related. They can just be charged in some kind of way. So helping women feel more confident in how to respond to those kinds of questions in a way that feels very authentically them and doesn't feel like a script that feels like somebody else.
Yes, right. And it's also good to notice because even for me, I notice when women come to these rooms, like big with influencers or
Yes.
they are in a higher status than them, imposter syndrome kicks in and they believe, I don't belong here. I don't belong in this room. Like, what am I doing? And then all of a sudden, they leave, or they doubt themselves and self-doubt. Like you mentioned, so how can a woman push through in regards?
So number one, I would start with, and I love that you asked that question. I would start with you do belong, you do matter. And there's a reason that you signed up for this. Like if you're a woman of faith, God puts desires on our heart for a reason. And if you desire to come to this or this opportunity presented itself, you matter, you belong, you deserve to be there. Oftentimes, people have a perception that people are paying attention to them more than they actually are.
Yes.
So know that going into it and then set some really concrete goals. So don't if it gives you anxiety to go to, let's say, a conference with hundreds or thousands of people that you don't know and you feel like everybody's looking at you, get really dialed in on what your goals are. Like, are you trying to talk to 5 specific people? Are you trying to practice with your elevator pitch talking about yourself? Are you trying to learn more about a certain industry or a certain area? What is it? So that way you're not overwhelmed by like this aimless, what am I going to do? Go in there with really specific goals that you can achieve.
Yeah, I love that practical skills because it's really having a goal in mind. Because if you're just going just to go, it's not a why or a goal to achieve of why you want to go to the place, who you want to connect.
Yes. And I'm not saying don't be open to opportunities as they arise or meeting people or learning about things that maybe weren't on your radar. But the more you can define success for yourself before you go to an event, the easier it is to execute and to feel like it's successful.
Yes, that is so good. And I know it was a process and a journey for you to write your book as well, because you mentioned it took years
Yes.
as well. So how was that journey for you being like the first time ever and really embracing this journey of writing? And what was your why? Okay.
Thank you so much for that question. It's been an incredible journey and one that I'm so grateful for. And I feel like the best part is about to start. I was actually joking with my brother. I've given my dad a copy of the book, but he's like the first person that's read it that wasn't part of my team in some kind of paid capacity. It's been really fun, really, really fun. My dad's also not on social media, so everything is new to him. He hasn't been benefiting or watching the reels that you and I have been talking about. So that has been really sweet. But in terms of the journey, I love to read and I love to write. And I have always been a voracious reader. And my grandmother, who was a huge inspiration for me in everything that I learned about etiquette and hospitality and friendship, she was also a huge reader. So it started when I was really young. And when a publisher reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to write a book, I just thought, Yes, absolutely. And I also knew enough about the publishing process that if you work with a publishing house, it does take a while between getting the book deal and having it in stores. And so I just thought there's no time like the present because I want to write this book and I have more books I want to write. So was my thinking there. But I have felt so blessed throughout the process with so many excellent people with wonderful attitudes and even like people that I didn't even realize were going to be part of my journey, like an exceptional audio producer for the audiobook or just so many amazing people. And I'm here today because my publisher invited me to come down for NRB. It was not my idea, and I'm really grateful for it. So
I'm so grateful that you're here.
thank you. It's been a really blessed process, and I feel like the fun part or the most fun part is just about the stuff.
Yes. And what are some topics that you really emphasize on your book? You can say society or culture is talking about it, and it's specifically for women getting to enter into this new season, really exploring this area.
So something that I include in my book is so I didn't want it to be an etiquette book just filled of things that you could find easily on the internet. I wanted it to feel relatable and memorable. So it's written in such a way that there's a nice index so that if you're looking for like how do you eat bacon with your hands or with a fork and knife, you can flip to the bacon page and find the answer. You can also read it cover to cover. It's designed to be like a cozy read if you want it to be. And so I would say like for anyone who's reading it, I include narrative. So, like mistakes I've made or funny stories, things like that, to kind of humanize these principles. And then I'll share the black and white, the etiquette lessons that you need to know. And then I tried to answer as many questions as I possibly could. So it'll be questions like someone will write in and ask, like, should my social media be public or private? I've heard mixed things. Like some employers don't want you to have a private or don't want you to have a public Instagram, but then some employers like to see that you have nothing to hide. So it's like those kinds of questions that are a little trickier that have a gray area. I answer as well that you'll find fun.
Yeah, and that's why you need to get the book. So that way you can really read and get these wisdom and just really know how to really embody etiquette and also your feminine because that's also takes a part. Really being in the moment, not rushing, taking your time. And what is it that you also recommend in regards? Because I know I see you as a woman that is femininity.
Thank you.
And you welcome because a lot of women in this process
Yes.
because they operate with masculinity, being a leader, especially in corporate
Yes.
settings that are surrounded by male dominant. And they really have this challenge of, I want to be soft, but I don't want to be taken advantage. So, what can you say about women who tend to struggle with that and how to overcome that and really tap into creatives?
Yes.
So,
It's trite but true. You will feel most at home and most confident when you're being yourself. And I say that as a woman who is a business owner and attorney. And I worked in a large corporate law firm, worked in more conservative aspects of the government were male dominated. And I was very used to being the only woman in the room. And there was a season of life where I wouldn't wear pink or I wouldn't wear my favorite things because I felt like I needed to stick to black, navy, and gray suits. And so I've been there. But I will say, as I've gotten older and I launched this business and it's grown, there's something really powerful about quiet confidence and leading with femininity and leading with magnanimity. So lean into your strengths. Like women have such a high emotional intelligence and are often very relational and very aware, very considerate, very communicative and hospitable. So lean into all of those strengths and know that you don't need to be all things to all people. And if you are someone who's really feminine, lean into it. And that doesn't preclude you from any opportunities professionally.
yes. And like you mentioned, being confident in that quietness, like, because it doesn't have to be.
Yes, I am not loud. I am the person like when I was anchoring the news, I used to lose my voice the next day because even though you have a microphone, you have to speak really loudly when you're on television, at least for me. And I am not the loudest person in the room, but I think there's something special about that when you're speaking and people are very attentive and they're trying to listen to every word. And I'm not saying you should enunciate and you shouldn't project your voice, but you don't need to be the center of attention to get attention. And in some ways, being the one that doesn't need the attention is a lot more attractive.
Yes. And it's funny because my podcast name is She Roars. So instantly people will think roaring is being loud. It's being not being able to keep silent. Yes, there's a moment to speak. There's a moment to be silent.
Yes.
There's a moment to be loud, especially when there's justice and bring awareness in some case and have discernment, of course, where God is calling you to be an advocate, to be able to share your story or your testimony, right? So, but there's also a time to be still, to move in silence, and that the glory you carry, the grace of God that carries, that speaks louder than anything else.
Yes.
Because the way you carry yourself, the way I carry myself, it's people see the light and they're attracted to it. And then everything else just follows. There's favor
Absolutely.
in that case. For you, how does your faith incorporate in your walk, in your journey, especially in this field, and really empowering?
I feel like we're all put on this earth to bless others and to bless others with our gifts. And for whatever reason, I was blessed with a really specific combination of gifts and a passion of etiquette and a professional background that positions me to be uniquely equipped to help people in this way. Having been a figure skater, worked in television, and been an attorney, worked at the highest levels of government, and then have had this passion for etiquette and have lived in Washington, a very relational, social town. I've hosted countless events and parties of all different types and degrees of formality. And all of these things have prepared me to empower and to help others and to share. And I love beauty. I love creativity. I love the expression of social media. So that's been a natural fit for me. And then reading and writing is such a love. So I'm leaning into it. And I have been so humbled and grateful for the way the Lord has blessed this process for me in a way like looking back. I never would have thought when I got my first etiquette book that I'd be sitting with you here today. But looking back, it makes so much sense. And I'm sure you have things in your life where you feel the same way.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Just having my podcast that only been a year and now being part of press and interviewing you, that's something for me. It was like, wow, God, like what you can only do 1 year when we say yes and walk to go and not be afraid.
I love that.
That is beautiful. And I know you love hosting.
Yes.
I love hosting. That's like, it just feels when I bring my girls and in
Yes.
my home and we sit together, break bread together, it's really not feel safe and really bring connections, relationships, and be a bridge to bring people together. And especially women, especially when you have a hard time trusting.
Yeah.
So, what are some practical tips you suggest, like for hostess, like someone that is hosting a gathering to make it special, to get detailed, whether you can say budget or in a way that they can, it's more personal.
So I would say to make it special, think about what is your favorite part. So everything that goes into a party, is it the theme? Is it the guest list? Is it the seating arrangement? Is it the activities? Is it the decor? Is it flowers? So figure out whatever your favorite thing is of the list of things you could do as a host and focus on that. Make that the marquee of your event. So maybe it's the menu, maybe it's your amazing recipe that you can't wait to make, or it's something like that.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think things that I think trip people up are they're afraid to ask for help. They think they need to do everything, or they think that their home needs to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like they need to wait for this addition or this piece of furniture or matching everything. And the reality is that you don't need to. And it's okay to have a girlfriend come over early and to help you prepare or to help with the cleanup or help. You can make it a potluck, all these kinds of things. And just start doing it. And over time, we'll get better. And try when you are a guest to think like a host. So start to pay attention to like the cadence of things, like the timing of serving and the menu that's served and how many people are there. And maybe you go to a party and you think, wow, that was amazing. And you want to think about what are all the things that went into this party that made it such a positive experience. Or maybe you have an experience, and I'm not to say that you want to be analytical or judgmental of others, but like, we've all been to an event where there's like no food and no drink, and you're not even sure if something's going to be served with dress code. Yes.
But no,
Yes.
I never go for like, I need
Exactly.
some appetizers. Like,
Exactly. So just like put a pin in that, take note of it, and remember it for the next time that you're hosting.
yes, that's great because the key is also asking for help
Yes.
because the host always thinks they have to do it all themselves and oh, get all the things and they're missing this and that. And no, like I
Yes.
asked for help and like, hey girl, can you please pass by the store? And I forgot the cups or something like that. And they
Yes.
can bring it. Just do it as a collaboration instead of having all that pressure on yourself because it's also creating that unique experience that they will like they will ask when is the next. That's
Mhm.
when now it's like they really
For sure.
that is so good. And I'm taking tips too as well. I hope ladies are taking tips as well for your next hosting party and your birthday party or any special gathering that you want to do at home. And not wait until your home is perfect. That's another thing I noticed. I wanted to home homes.
Yes.
Oh, because have the space.
Yes.
It's a small place. But with anything, like literally, like you can create and curate that experience regardless of space.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And any last recommendations or tips for women in regards that sometimes they feel kind of hesitant, or kind of like, I want to really work in my etiquette skills. How can I start?
I would say start by being really kind to yourself and then start to think about the people in your life that have like that little special something, like that je ne sais quoi, like the person who can apologize really well or the person who is a tremendous leader. Like even when something isn't going well, they know how to lead with magnanimity and kindness, or your friend who you could put at any table at any wedding and they would still have a good time. So would everybody else who's sitting around them. Start to raise your awareness to these people that have excellent etiquette and start to think about how could you embody some similar qualities within your own personal style? Because the goal here is not to be a carbon copy of someone
Right.
else, but to see positive etiquette and positive attributes in others and think about how you can incorporate that in your own life.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Because it's not about being a copycat
No.
or being someone else. You see them on social media, like, "Oh, I want their side. But it's yeah, you have to really embody your personality, how God created you to be someone. And we are unique and give things. So that is beautiful. That you mentioned. And what is before we wrap this up, what does roar mean to you?
Being fearlessly the woman that God created you to be.
Yes. Love that. Embodying it and no looking back, no shrinking back, and really embodying it. Love that. And can you share the audience where they can connect with you and where can they buy your book that is launching soon? And if they want to work with you as etiquette coach, then how can they contact you?
Yes, so you can find me on all the social media places at Elevate Etiquette. So at elevateetiquette.com. My book is called Was It Something I Said? And it comes out on March 17th and it's already available for pre-order wherever books are sold.
Wonderful. And congratulations
Thank
again.
you.
And much blessings on the book tour and launching that I know you're going to impact so many women to embrace their side, this side that probably have not been tapped into before, but it's going to be a healing journey for them to really experience elegance, class, etiquette, and their feminine. So thank you so much for being part of the show. And thank you all queens to being listening. And please share this episode to your sisters, to your community, to really be able to encourage them to really embody this new area that probably they haven't tapped into, but it's time for them to really embrace, decide, and really live a gracious, soft life that God created you to have. So remember, queens, to come out of hiding and release your roar. I'll see you on the next episode.